Hey everybody, Bill in Virginia, welcome back. So picking up where I left off in the last video and getting ready to do more work in here for ground cover. You can see I still have the bug spray on the dock. It's only been a few hours since I put the ground cover on, and now I'm back out on the layout and I'm going to finish up the dirt work around the track on this side of the center module. So I do not have it glued in position yet. I've just got the dirt in, and I've used my fingernails and fingers to get it off the ties a little bit. The isopropyl alcohol that I'll spray on it next will clean the ties. It will, sort of move a little bit of that really fine dirt material lower so that it will look like this once they get it done. So I'm going to spray it down with isopropyl alcohol. Then I'm going to use 50/50 dilute white glue, which, good old Elmer's school glue. I've got a bottle that I just use for this purpose. Put about roughly half of it full of white glue, rest of it with water out of the hose, and shake the bejeebies out of it so that I get a mix that's fairly on the, I wouldn't call it watery side, but I guess you could, just so that it flows better out of the nozzle. And I just open the nozzle to get like a small drop or a very small stream so that I can kind of control where it goes, so I'm not using excess. But I will squirt this down, get this glued in, then I can start to work my way this way. I've got the ground cover done for the most part up until the other side of the track. I'll probably move the engine house once I get this part done so that I can finish this area here. So more coming. A little farther, and I think I am going to wrap it up for a Saturday night here. You can see the area that looks wet is glue. So what I am going to do here is I've put a brown Woodland Scenics earth color on that. That's the base for where the water tower is going to sit. So I will let this dry. And what I will do with the water tower is I'll use just dabs of carpenter glue on some of the pads, probably about 4 out of the, I think, what have I got? 3, 6, 9, 12. So maybe 4 or 5, just so that it will anchor then to the glued down ground cover. Got glue in here that'll dry, should dry, about the same color as this. I've got this build up through this area. I've got the area back there sort of covered. Same thing with this. What I will do yet tonight is I will get out one of my vehicles and I will put in some tire ruts in some of that area over there. Just kind of pack it down as well so that it looks like it's a well-used parking lot, access road, however you want to look at it. So anyway, that's about it for this evening. We'll pick it up tomorrow. So here is where it stands after a night of drying. Everything is still damp, so I'm going to continue to let it dry, and I will put the bug spray back on the dock, just again to keep everything level and flat until it's completely dry. But you can see how this scene is starting to come together. I will put some crates and some figures on the dock. I will weather up that old tractor, but you can see one of those pieces of piles of junk that I cut from the big one to make the little ones. So one small piece there. Shack is in a good spot there. I've left this area open. I still think I'm going to make something for fueling, like a small coal bucket or something there. It's not going to be big, but just a small structure. So I've got some space for it. Coming in, road and stuff is still drying, but that looks good. I'll be able to add some other detail and weathering with finer dirt to get that finished off. Over here under the water tank, I've just got it set in place. You can see it's still wet. what I will do is let that dry a little bit more. And then I'm going to come back in with more sifted material from the garden and kind of blend that in and fill that area up. Just so that it looks more like the other. I'll leave the darker stuff under the water tank, but the ground cover around it will match pretty much what everything else is here. So looks pretty good. The ballast is still drying as well. But yeah, I like how this scene is looking. It's coming together, slow but sure. So we'll get a little bit farther along and show you some additional details. I think what I'm going to do next is, besides that area, I'm going to come in here and I'll take care of this up along and at least get up to the road, because it's going to be, again, similar materials. Little bit of vegetation kind of popping up on this one here in a few spots, but we'll see how that looks as I get a little bit farther. Sunday evening is coming to a close, and I've been doing a little bit more out here. I have this sort of storage drive area, basics down. We'll let the glue dry, and then I'll do some blending of colors a little bit later. I've added some of the lighter color material in on top of the road, and again, a little bit of glue. Same thing in here. I've added in some different spots, again, to kind of make a little more of a drive area here. Right in here, you can see I've got some rock and gravel. I think this is where I'm going to put those 3 little pine trees that I made. Just kind of have a little small cluster here. They only come up, you know, about that high, so they're not going to be a scene block, but still kind of look nice there. And then, you know, I'll put the crane back in here, some details in here, tufts of grass, different things there, and a few tufts of grass along the road here. Same thing in the back there, some more grass and some other stuff around. Still got the can on it. It is solid, but I'm just going to let it sit for another day or so. With the amount of glue that I put on and covered, it'll take a little while to dry. Do have a can on top of the water tank. So the water tank I have glued in place. I put little dabs of Gorilla Glue on the footings. I've decided I'm not going to do a whole lot of weathering to this. I'm going to let it kind of naturally weather. I might come back in with a light dusting of some chalk in a few spots, but you know, I like how that looks. You know, it's a nice looking water tank. So I put that, I'm just going to leave it. I did mostly, I think, yeah, that's kind of glued in. I'll glue it in with some super glue once everything dries. I build up under it. You know, a little water spout to kind of come this way so that it can top off engines that are coming out of this area, especially that are heading that way, so they don't have to do a reverse move up to here, where the main water is as engines are coming along. They can kind of take the siding, come in here, top off with water as they, you know, go upgrade and head up towards High Point and other parts on the railroad. So that's about it for tonight. Let everything dry and start doing a little bit of other things after work tomorrow. Getting more grass. You know, I've added dirt and glue so it's even to the tape all along here. So I can add in tufts of grass. I can take care of some of this stuff. So making progress. It's not going to be long before this area is done. Might still be in this video, might be in the next one. Just see what I can wrap up here. Monday evening, and I've just spent a few minutes out here on the layout, been doing some other things. So added a few tufts of grass, added a little bit of more ground cover just to kind of vary up the texture and color here in this area that's going to be more vehicle and odds and ends parking. Did put in some more grass along here. So tomorrow night I should be able to pull the tape. I've got everything done up to the road. And the glue is pretty solid on that. You know, I'll get a little bit of pull away, but it's not going to be much. The main parts are going to be solid. So that's okay. And then tomorrow, I think I'm going to start working off over here, get that area finished, and again, sweep my way this direction here. So not a lot to do, making some progress. Well, Tuesday night after work. And the last ballasting is now completed. Right here, I did this switch just a little bit ago. It's all glued in. Also did a little bit more of the ground cover in through here. And I am going to leave this little shed in this location. You know, I was thinking about it over in here, and it's just too cluttered. So got some of the cutoff pieces put in there. Here's that one little pile. I'm going to make some grass tufts to kind of put around this. That looks good. Put a few drums on the dock already. Those are just sitting there. Did come back in and put in the additional dirt in and around the water tank. That's glued in place, so we'll let that dry, and then I can do finished details on it. Started to put just a little bit in place. This will still be moved around as I do more things. You know, you can see the ruts in the road. That turned out pretty well. Still got to put the trees. I'm going to put this up on a block, a little chunk of wood, maybe, I don't know, it's like 1/2 inch or 3/8 of an inch. I'd have to look. And I'll cut little squares to set that on, paint it to look like concrete, so that'll make that hoist up a little bit higher. And I can put other odds and ends in and around here. So it's coming together. What I'm going to start in next is I will start to put down glue and a thin coating of ground cover in this area. Kind of figure out then exactly the final position of my buildings here, which I will still put in all three, or well, two, the bigger one and then the other, as well as the that little shed that I had here. But I'll get this with basic ground cover in. Then I'll start to put the other buildings in place and then come back in and do final ground cover in this area. So not too much more to go. Possibly tonight I might have the basics for all of the ground cover in. Then I can start doing additional painting and detailing on the buildings, and I can wrap this up. So we're not too far from completion on this. So I'm still having fun, but I'm starting to get antsy to build a new one. All right, we'll get some more done on this one yet. Well, still Tuesday evening, and basic ground cover is now complete. So I'm happy with where these buildings are positioned. They are not glued in or anything, but I did press them into the still wet scenic material so that I get a sort of a footprint of where these buildings will go. That way I can take them off the layout again, and I can do painting on these two, as well as that little coaling thing, little coal tower, whatever. But I do have the junk piles. Those are glued in with some Gorilla Glue. Same over there, you know, that's where I'm going to leave them. So I do have to come back in, put some grass tufts, and then do some other detail work around these once I get these buildings painted. But we'll see what else I can get done on this one. Probably the buildings will be another piece, as well as showing how I make those small trees on a next video. But I'm going to let it dry for a little while, and then come back and cut up some grass, start placing grass tufts in different areas around here. And then I also have a bunch of people I can start to bring out and start to populate, as well as fix the crane. So I still got quite a bit to do. So yeah, there's going to definitely be another video to show detailed work on this one. So I'm going to see how long this one is, and maybe do one more little snip tonight, and that'll wrap this up, and then we'll finish this on the next video. Oh yeah, I just looked at how long this segment is. You know, I generally try to keep them around 15 minutes, maybe a little longer, maybe a little shorter, and this one's right about at 15 already. So I'm going to wrap it up, and then the next video would show me finishing this up. I should be able to get everything else done that I'm wanting to on another video. So with that, keep having fun on your layouts. Until next time.